Welcome to the Easy Bros Fantasy Football Podcast.
Coming at you from the Easy Bros studio in blistering hot Arizona.
Here are your hosts and football fanatics, Edward Green and Zach Rogers.
How goes it, Easy Bros? Welcome to the Easy Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. My name is Zach.
And I'm Fast Eddie, here to tell you about all the fantasy news and scores from around the league today.
It was a pretty interesting first week. It was awesome to see football again. That's for sure. How did you feel? I was anxious. I couldn't sleep.
I felt great. I was excited. My team lost, but my fantasy team did well.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I'm a little used to my Dolphins losing.
Yeah.
We were looking for the
hurt.
turnaround this year. We might still have a turnaround, though. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, me and Eddie, we played each other today, and Eddie did get that sweet victory. If I had to lose, I'll take it to you. I'll take it to you, sir.
Victory.
My team also, the Colts, gave up a devastating loss. It was a sad thing to watch. I watched Mac possibly tear his Achilles, and in a sad way, as a fantasy owner, I felt so bad because a little bit of joy jumped out of me inside simply because I had Jonathan Taylor sitting on my bench. Is that evil?
Yeah, in a way. But
I
also,
feel
you gave up a
horrible.
lot to get Jonathan
I gave
Taylor.
up Julio Jones.
So it kind of, you needed. I mean,
So-
sorry, Mac, you kind of needed that, though.
I know. But yes, they gave everybody talks so much crap about the Jaguars in the last couple of weeks with them shopping all their players and kind of just ditching off everybody and tanking. Everybody says tanking. Well, it's weird because I watched them play full-heartedly to the point that they beat the Colts.
Hey, it seems like they kind of knew what they were doing. They were on the fence about Fournette, so they kind of just let him go.
And Robinson.
He didn't have any
Wasn't
crazy
anything
runs or
crazy,
anything, but he did
had
his part.
flashes.
But
He
he
had
did his
flashes.
part. He did his part, and they won the game.
It was a good game to watch. Eddie got to watch the Dolphins game, and we could watch them both at the same time, so that was kind of cool.
Gosh.
Let's get into
Don't
some
remind
news.
me.
Let's get into some news. Cam Newton. Let's talk about him
Speaking
first.
of the Dolphins game,
You know, Dolphins game, first game of the day. Cam Newton showed he's back. He's back, people. If you picked him as your starting quarterback round 10 through 14, depending on where he dropped in your draft, you're probably looking pretty dang good right now.
even if you didn't pick him and you just stashed him on your team, you're probably looking like a pretty smart person. Like, hey, look at that guy, Cam Newton. What a genius.
He threw for 15 out of 19, 155 yards. Nothing too spectacular on the passing front. But
He had 15 rushing attempts and 75 rushing yards and 2
it's
touchdowns.
It's what he added on the ground, and that's what everybody fears with Cam Newton. And they said if he could do it, that he was going to be a valuable fantasy asset.
And he looked like the Cam Newton of Cam Newton of
Cam
old,
of
right?
Olden?
Cam Newton of old, right? He looked
He
just
did.
like he did in Carolina before he got hurt. I
I
mean,
believe
I'm
he
worried.
made everyone around him look good, too.
I am worried. I am. I thought if we can come out and punch him in the mouth, scare
I
him a
was
little
surprised. For the first season ever, I jumped on your bandwagon, man.
Hey, but it was
and
a
I
slow
said, hey,
game.
the Dolphins can beat
bit. It was
the
a slow
Patriots.
game. It's not like that they started off and they were playing really well. The game was kind of boring the first half.
Well, Belichick won that one. Now let's talk Tom Brady. Tom Brady and Gronk went to Tampa Bay. They had their debut today against Drew Brees and company.
Well, you got to add some guys in there. Fournette, that's part of his debut as well,
Yeah, part of his debut with 5 touches.
Oh,
Yes, 5 touches. Yeah, I believe it was 5 yards, too.
hey, there's a long season ahead of us.
Ronald Jones, Arian said he was going to be the number 1 and that Fournette was not ready, and that it seems like he was pretty dang honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that he would have told everyone that if he was going to be running Fournette a lot. They were going to see what they had. They gave him a shot. I'm sure that he ran in there on some simple plays, things that were easy for him to walk into the playbook and kind of probably stuff he's already known. You know, a lot of these playbooks are reused and reused and reused. So
Tom Brady, he had flashes of there were some good signs. I saw a play where he linked up with Chris Godwin for about 20-25 yards. It was a beautiful pass. There were a couple passes where I think the receivers weren't even expecting Brady to get it to, and in turn failed to do their part to get the ball.
hey, without his interceptions though, he would have really had a good game.
Yeah.
He did throw for
The Saints have a
239
good
passing
defense.
yards. No, they did, and they have a good front seven. You know,
If
those
you're in a
guys move
deep
real fast.
league, I'm pretty sure I've been suggesting all questions when it came to weekly advice this week. Saints were there a lot, and I was telling people Saints have a pretty underrated defense. I'd say top 5 this year.
I mean, in fantasy, he did still have 22 points.
No,
You know what I mean?
and that's
So-
not a horrible day, but I just more mean to lose.
No, without the
Gronk to
interceptions,
score
though.
3 points.
Without the interception, though, without the interceptions, he would have looked fantastic.
Let's talk a guy that I kind of downplayed in the beginning, during draft season. Josh Jacobs, 3 touchdowns. This guy was a beast. Carried the ball
yes.
25 times, 93 yards. He did it all. He was the Vegas. He was the
He had a
Vegas
hat
back.
trick, 3 rushing touchdowns.
Yes.
I mean, I had him last year. I drafted him very high. I would have liked to get him this year. Just didn't work out for me.
PPR fantasy points.
Hey, I told you before that he was the guy to watch out for. He had 4 receptions for 46 yards, and he almost had a touchdown at one point with that one of the receptions, I believe.
I think this game proved he's a running back 1, right?
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
All right. Potential shakeup. Colts backfield. Talked about it a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
I feel horrible about it, but I'm a little bit excited about it. Jonathan Taylor looks to be the number 1 running back. Probably going to be in the running back 2 range for fantasy. He showed signs, especially on one of his catches early in the game.
Yeah.
Yes, he picked up a nice chunk yardage. He carried the ball. He got stuffed a couple times at the line. I believe come out next week, he's gonna produce.
I like the combo of
I think
actually
Hines.
all 3 of those guys if Mac wasn't hurt.
Yeah, it was
man.
gonna work. It looked
All
like
3
it
of
was
them.
gonna work.
The combination of all 3 of these guys, but even with if Mac's on the shelf for a little while, oh man, the possibilities that you have with Hines, he played really well, and then Taylor,
biggest surprise of the game.
and then
for me.
Taylor coming in, man, he just was picking up wherever Mac left off.
He didn't drop a single pass.
No, it was. I
Every
thought it was
single
really
pass.
good, and I'm looking forward to see them.
And
moving
what
on.
was even more interesting to me is Jonathan Taylor. You added a touchdown to his day, and he would have given you 22 points.
No, yeah, he
That would have
would've
been,
bumped him up
if
a lot.
you're drafting him at 4th, 5th round, he's giving you that value, and that's what I guess what I'm excited about is I didn't start him this week. I didn't feel with Hines and him being the rookie, no preseason, and Mac there, that there was going to be enough room for him on his first week to fantasy produce to be in a starting lineup. So I did not start him, and he would have done better for me than most of the guys on my starting lineup. So it was a bad week. Bad week. Let's talk more news. We got J.K. Dobbins makes immediate impression.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this. Like I told you before, I've seen him getting a little bit more touches in the offense. I had actually traded for him, which I felt like was a very decent trade. Traded John Brown for him because I think that he's going to step up.
I didn't see this coming.
Yeah.
It might have been also because, they were up by so many points in the game that they just threw in their bench players.
I was reading a lot of Baltimore beat writers, and they were talking about in practice how he looked really good, and they were really high on him.
But
It was kind of-
Ingram did out-carry him.
Yeah, and Ingram's probably going to continue to out-carry him, but it looks like that they're using Dobbins in different kind
It
of
looks
sets.
like
They're
when
finding
Ingram's
ways
contract
for him.
is up, they most likely have a plan to...
Yeah, move on easily.
Yeah. Guess that's why they used a second round on him.
Josh Allen. Can we talk about Josh Allen, man?
Josh Allen had a great game. Great game. And I believe he was my fantasy sleeper quarterback of the year.
Yeah.
Of the year. He's an amazing quarterback. He's only improved since coming into the league, and he's got nothing but great weapons around him now. He was great last season, and he had John Brown. Now he has John Brown and Diggs.
The owner of Josh Allen in our league single-handedly, I think, won because of how well he played.
Yep, and she got him from me in a trade.
Yeah.
So that
He had 312 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 14 rushing attempts for 57 yards, and a rushing touchdown. He did lose 2 fumbles. So without the 2 fumbles, this guy could have been about 32, 33 points, and he only ended up at 28. There's a lot of potential for him to gain and get higher up into that. So maybe just hold on to the ball a little more. They'll probably work on that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Devontae Adams scored 41.6 PPR fantasy points today. He had 17 of 41 target share.
Yeah, he did great. I feel like Aaron Rodgers is really moving the ball around a lot to different guys.
Which,
We
follows
expected.
Aaron
We
Rodgers
really
is
expected
right
that.
below Adams on this.
Yeah, we
So-
really expected that.
They both, I think, well outdid what they were expected to do going into this game, especially Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers has a lot of haters on him right now in the fantasy world. He was being ranked the number 7 quarterback going into the draft, I believe it was a month ago, and then he dropped all the way to probably around 15-ish
Yeah,
within a month,
yeah.
and now look at him. And I know it's one game. The Vikings have a young cornerback.
Their team is getting better. You know what I mean? Aaron Rodgers, we knew that him and Devontae Adams were going to have a good rapport. We just didn't know that he was going to get Lazard into the mix like he did. We expected Jones to have a good game, but we didn't expect him to have what he did. So, it was a little surprising to me that they all played so well and got so many fantasy points.
How about Jamison Crowder?
Yeah,
That was a surprise.
I thought he was a
wide
sleeper in the
receiver for
draft.
me.
Yeah, I told one of the guys, hey, if he's there for you, you're a New York fan, snag him.
Yeah,
You know?
it all worked out. If only he had started him. Gardner Minshew, do we talk about him at all? I think he did very well
The Mustache Mania played very well against the Colts, like
with
we said.
his
We talked about it earlier.
with his top 3 options being Chark, Eifert, and
The rookie.
And the rookie.
Yeah. No, and they played well. I mean, James Robinson, what is he? He was an undrafted free agent
Yeah,
or undrafted rookie free agent. First one to start a game, and I don't know, they said like maybe 30-something years. It could have been more than that as far as I know.
yeah,
but
because
it's-
even Lindsey didn't start, did he?
No.
Going into being undrafted.
No.
No,
So
I didn't think so.
I mean, that's a pretty cool stat right there to have.
DeAndre Hopkins had a great day. Let's talk about some Cardinal news. 14 of 16 targets, 151 yards.
Yeah,
This guy was a beast. He caught everything.
DeAndre and Fitz both had a pretty good game.
Everybody was scared about going into the game. Do I start Murray? Do I start Murray? Do I start Murray? Asking me 100 different questions on 100 different quarterbacks over Murray. And I'm like, it's Murray.
Yeah.
Did you see last year
Yeah, he
when
didn't
he
really
played
have a
without
problem
the
with them.
weapons? We talked about this
Yeah.
before, so no need to go crazy into it. But it just surprises me. People probably wasted anywhere from a 3rd to a 5th round pick on Murray this
Yeah.
year. And then you go, oh, am I going to start this waiver wire guy because he has an okay matchup on paper? Well, let's talk about some okay matchups on paper this week. How about the Jags and Colts? How about the Washington football team and the Eagles? How
Yeah,
about the
that was an
Lions
episode.
and the Bears?
Yeah.
How about the Cowboys and the Rams?
Yeah. I honestly, going into Sunday night, I thought the Cowboys were going to take it. And as watching the game, and it kept unfolding, it didn't seem like they had as much drive as the Rams did. There were some iffy calls there towards the end, but still, hey, if you're doing what you're supposed to do, you win the game. Regardless if, one call doesn't go your way, you had you had 60 minutes to play the game. You could have found another way to score, and they just didn't. They went on a fourth and 4, I believe, there right at the end of the fourth quarter, and they didn't convert, and they could have kicked a field goal and tied the game. So they really kind of bit themselves in the butt on that one.
Yeah. Let's talk Seahawks and Falcons. One of the first games of the day. Amazing game. Russell Wilson had an amazing day. Pretty much everybody in Seattle had an amazing day. Let's talk.
Russell Wilson had 31 fantasy points.
Yes, he did
So,
great. 322 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Matt Ryan had 24 fantasy points. So, I mean, these guys did really well.
Matt Ryan had 450 yards.
I'm guessing this was probably one of the most exciting games to watch of the day.
of
We
the
only
day.
caught a few glimpses of this game, but when we did catch it, I mean, it was pretty exciting. Chris Carson, took over, right?
Exactly what everyone thought he was going to be going into week 1.
He had 6 catches.
Except a little more, yeah. I was going to say in the pass work, I don't think anyone was expecting that.
Yeah, 6 catches, 45 yards. I think he had 2 touchdowns, which really set him above.
It did.
You know,
it was,
in the category for stats. So
they didn't do much in the ground game. It was mainly a passing game. This game. Todd Gurley had 14 carries for 56 yards and a touchdown. Carlos Hyde added 7 carries for 23 and a touchdown. So not much on the rush. It looked like this was a big time air raid game. We got DK Metcalf, 4 receptions, 95 yards, and a touchdown. I think we called that. Metcalf is definitely a red zone target for Russell Wilson. Chris Carson's 2 touchdowns. Did not expect.
Calvin Ridley, 33 points.
Greg Olsen.
Yeah, Greg
4
Olsen
for
had a really
24
good
and a
game.
touchdown.
I think he had 12 fantasy points, which I didn't expect him to get 12. I thought maybe he would get about 8, maybe 7, but 12 to me, that is way higher than that was expected.
Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley destroyed it.
It was interesting to see because I for sure was not one of those people who thought Ridley was going to be this big of. But then on top of that, you got Russell Gage right below him. 9 receptions each. 130 for Ridley, 114 for Gage. 2 touchdowns for Ridley.
Yeah, all these guys. The only guy that
This was a
underachieved to me
game.
in this game was Hayden Hurst. I figured that he would get a lot more targets, but that's probably because Russell Gage was becoming open. They were finding a way to get him the ball
They
because
definitely
he was
fed the
becoming
receivers
free.
in this game.
Yeah, Julio had 24 fantasy points. Hey, Russell Gage is probably on some fantasy waiver wires out there. If you guys are looking for someone to stash on your bench, you never know what could happen. If he can get, 114 in this game, he can do it in another game if you just watch the matchup.
Let's talk Jets and Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, this game ended the way I pretty much thought it would.
Yeah, I don't
figured
think
the Bills would win.
Anyone thought the Jets were going to win this one going into it.
Sam Darnold didn't play terrible.
He still looks like he's a rookie. I know they don't do much to get him much around him. And
Le'Veon went out
with Bell
early.
going down, that kind of affected him. But he still he doesn't look like a starting quarterback. I was one of the people that Darnold coming into the football world as a rookie, I thought there was big things. I always thought there was some comparisons possibly to Peyton Manning to some of those type of guys, and his toughness and his willing to win. But I feel like this organization has done it to him.
Yeah, and
ruined him.
I agree
exactly
with you.
what they said they were going to do when they picked him and said they were going to start him right away instead of developing him.
Yeah, they haven't given him any chance to grow, and it hasn't helped putting guys around him. Yeah, they put Le'Veon around him, but I mean, he hasn't really done much for him.
We already talked about Josh Allen. Amazing game.
Yes.
312 yards, 2 touchdowns. He added to the run game with 14 carries for 57 and a touchdown. So, and that's what makes him so amazing in fantasy is he's not afraid to run the ball, and he's definitely not afraid to run the ball in the red zone.
Buffalo started picking it up last year, and it just seems like they're continuing to roll with that. They're now 1-0. They beat the Jets 27-17, and everybody was in on the running game. Quarterback, both running backs.
Yeah.
So, I believe John Brown even maybe had a rush, did he?
Yeah, I think he did. John Brown, another guy. I had so many questions about him this weekend. Do you start John Brown or this guy? And I'm like, John Brown had almost 1,100 yards last year and 7 touchdowns, I believe. And I'm like, and Josh Allen's only getting better. He's got one of the strongest arms out there, and John Brown is one of the best deep threats. And now he's got Diggs to take that pressure off him on the other side. Yeah, he's going to produce. They're both going to produce, and they both did. Diggs had 8 for 86, no touchdown, but they both produced.
Yeah, John Brown ended up with 19 fantasy points.
On a day where they beat the Jets and they were up pretty much the whole game, they still both got enough targets and enough catches to produce.
Yeah, this whole team played well.
Jamison Crowder is probably the only person to talk about on the Jets. 7 receptions, 115 yards, and a touchdown.
We kind of knew that he would probably outperform everybody else there, but honestly didn't think he would get 115 yards. I didn't even think the Jets would score 17 points, to be completely honest.
Yeah, well, you never know there, I guess, right? Singletary and Moss did pretty good. I think Moss showed he was a little bit of a rookie. But at the same time, also, we got to see that he is going to be a part of the backfield.
On a lot of the red zone targets. He got most of the red zone. I think
Red zone carries?
most of the red zone carries went to him. I think they said 73% of the red zone carries went to him. So that's pretty good. If you're a Zach Moss owner,
I think he's
keep
worthy.
watching for him.
I think he's possible flex consideration going into week 2, depending on
they play the Dolphins
matchups
next
and-
week. So, yeah, he is. The Patriots running backs, the assortment of all 4 of them kind of had their turn with them. Like we said before, I wasn't really sure if you could start any of those guys. I did say maybe James White because he has a history of running all over the Dolphins and scoring on them. But, hey, next week you got the Bills running backs. Check them both out. They could be both flex guys.
All right, we're going to talk about the Bears and the Lions.
Woo, we watched this at the end, huh? Right? It was
Yeah.
nice to see them kind of come back and win. It
I was
crazy.
not expecting it at all. I thought they had it. That's why I kept telling you, let's go back to the other game. It's more interesting. One of my biggest surprises has got to be Adrian Peterson.
Yeah, I figured that he would get some carries. I didn't think that he was going to get 93 yards. And honestly, I thought maybe they would sprinkle him in maybe 4, 5, 8 at max. 14 carries he got.
Yeah. Above Johnson, above Swift. Swift got the touchdown, but he only carried the ball 3 times for 8 yards. Kerryon Johnson carried the ball 7 for 14, so it's a little worrisome in that backfield, and it honestly makes you think, is Adrian Peterson the back to own now?
In this backfield, it looks like that's what they're telling you. I mean, even
people are talking Swift will own the backfield here in a couple of weeks, but look at that. That's the best
Adrian
performance,
Peterson,
yard per carry performance I think Adrian Peterson has had in 2 years.
yeah, 6.
It would take him, 26, 29 carries in Washington to get 100 yards.
And not only that, he had a long of 21. These other 2 guys, 6 and 5. Like, you're not going to
He's
beat Adrian Peterson
outproducing
out
the
for
young
job.
guys.
And it looks like it's going to be his.
David Montgomery, surprise play.
I was surprised that he was going to be healthy. I thought that they were going to sit him.
13 carries, 64 yards. Game script didn't really go his way. It went more Cohen's way, who got 7 carries for 41. Also, Cohen caught 2 passes for 6 yards, so not even much in the pass game for Cohen either. He is a part of the carry system too, so that kind of eats into it. But I would think it was more of game flow and the fact of him coming in a little banged up.
Yeah, it seemed like Trubisky was really throwing the ball out there. He got the ball to at least 6 or 7 different receivers. That's not really like him. He's usually about 3 or 4 receivers max, and he sticks to those guys. And he did. He looked a lot better than I expected him to look against a Detroit team that I expected their defense to be better this year. They picked up some guys in the offseason. They kind of took some of those older veterans away from the Patriots and a couple other guys around the league. Oh, man, this was just a surprise to me. And
when they said
hats off to Trubisky, man.
When they said Trubisky was starting, I couldn't believe it. After trading for Nick Foles, taking on that contract, and then to not start him and pick Trubisky, who you were obviously trying to replace and trading for Foles.
Yeah.
But the way he played makes me wonder if that's why they gave him the starting job.
Yeah, not
because
a lot of
he
fantasy
is showing improvement.
Yeah, a lot of fantasy stuff going on in these games here.
He's never had the best weapons either.
No.
Look at his tight end right now. It's Jimmy Graham.
Yeah.
That says something to you.
And Allen Robinson is really coming to his own the last 2 years with Chicago.
Yeah, five receptions, 74 yards this game. Anthony Miller, 476 and a touchdown.
And Anthony Miller was getting free, too.
Yeah.
A lot of his routes, he was shaking free. So, I mean, if they can continue this, it could look good for the Chicago Bears.
I think it was a big surprise in the Detroit receiving cores and tied in simply because most people went into this game thinking Jones was going to be the target hog with Golladay down, but yet Amendola and T.J. Hawkinson both caught more passes than he did.
Yeah, I really feel like that's because of the outside defense on the Bears. Kind of opened it up for the inside guys of Amendola and Hawkinson.
Adrian Peterson even caught 3 passes, so you had those 21 yards, and he was at about 115 all-purpose yards.
That's great. It really is.
And he was just on the waiver wire. So,
Bears fans were really happy about their outcome today. I'm pretty sure of that.
yeah, they get so much heat, I think, the Bears in general. And so it's nice to see a win every once in a while.
Well, I think it's because of what they've been doing with Trubisky. You know, keep hanging on to him. A lot of people, they booed him out the stadium last year a couple times.
Well, Easy Bros, any of you out there ever thought of creating your own podcast? We personally use Buzzsprout. They've gotten us on every major podcast platform. The team at Buzzsprout is passionate about seeing your project through.
Join over 100,000 podcasters already using Buzzsprout. Follow the link in the show's notes. Let Buzzsprout know we sent you and receive a $20 Amazon gift card to help support the show.
We would appreciate it, and it goes to a great cause, helps us keep doing this awesome fantasy football show. Let's get into the Packers and the Vikings.
This was a shootout, huh?
Yeah, this was a shootout.
I figured it'd be
unexpected.
A high score, but not this high.
This was not my pick for the high-scoring game of the
I
of
think
the weekend.
Aaron Rodgers heard people say, "Hey, man, you're slipping in fantasy. People don't believe in you anymore."
You think them drafting a rookie quarterback might have put a little pep under his step too?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, hey guys, you want to get rid of me? I can still do it.
He thought he had four years starting at least left with the Packers, and then they drafted someone, and he goes, "Oh man, maybe they don't think that."
He went out there and threw for 4 touchdowns, man. 4 touchdowns, almost 400 yards. Aaron Rodgers was on fire. Not only was he on fire, his running backs really helped him out, huh?
Yeah, Aaron Jones, 16 carries, 66 yards, and a touchdown. You had,
Everyone in this game carried the
I
ball.
don't know who Tyler Irvin is, but he got 3 for 38, so his average was 12.7.
Well, one of those he ripped off for 21 yards.
Yeah,
so
well, it's something.
Jamal Williams showed his face like always. He always plays very productive.
Something we learned, A.J. Dillon is well below the depth chart. Jamal Williams is above him. Aaron Jones is the clear lead. I don't think that's changing anytime soon, and they're already talking contract extensions with Aaron Jones, right?
I believe so, yeah.
So that's got to tell you something. Dillon is not there to take over the role, and if Jamal Williams is above him, he is not fantasy relevant.
I just feel like
Deep
they're
stash
going to
almost.
use all these guys, man. And they kind of showed that.
Dalvin Cook, 12 carries, 50 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, red zone, every time they got close, it was just easy. Hey, what do we do? Give it to Cook. Let Cook run it in.
Kirk Cousins, 259, 2 touchdowns, interception.
Yeah,
Typical Kirk.
you're gonna get at least 2 touchdowns and an interception for Kirk almost every game.
Devontae Adams was a beast was a god among men. Let's put it that way. 14 receptions, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns. His long was 40. He had 17 targets. That is amazing.
He had 41 fantasy points. The man had a great game.
Best wide receiver of this week, I believe. Fantasy wise.
Yeah, I believe so.
And I think in real life. Isn't that, it kind of makes sense? Does that go along with it?
Yeah, he played great.
Adam Thielen caught 6 passes, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think that was a surprise to people also. Jair Alexander obviously was not able to stop that. So, but behind him, not much else, right? In the receiving?
No,
You've got a few people, but they're
slow.
all about 1 catch, 2 catch, 3, 4. I mean, that just sounded like I was going to make a song.
Almost there. Not much to talk about here. Packers just kind of walked over. The
biggest 2 things are going to be Adams and Rodgers in that game, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Biggest surprises.
3-headed monster there in Green Bay for fantasy points, so just keep your eyes peeled. And you want to face anybody that has one of those guys on their team.
Let's talk Dolphins.
Do we have to talk about this
and
game?
Patriots, yes. Because this is my only glory of the week, is I get to tell you that your Dolphins lost. Because not only did my Colts lose, but I also lost to you in fantasy.
We did this on purpose.
So
they went out there. Fitzpatrick kind of, I think they were messing around with the Patriots.
I couldn't believe it.
We're going to show them our secret weapon.
It was almost like Fitzpatrick was trying to give Tua the starting job. He's like, I just want my money to sit on the bench.
Yeah. They're like, hey, this guy behind me, he's really good, and we're just kind of messing with you guys. So he's going to come out. We're going to win 15 games straight the next 15 games, and we're going to do good, man.
Yeah.
I'm very confident about it.
What really, really surprised me is Myles Gaskin out carrying Jordan Howard. And Jordan Howard producing 7 yards on 8 carries.
I really feel like this all has to do with the offense. Gaskins was here last year. They had layered it in there for a lot of the passing downs.
People kept asking who's the back to own, Howard or Breida. Well, as of week 1, I would have to say Breida because he's more important in the pass game, and the Dolphins obviously are still going to be that team that's coming from behind.
I would just keep an eye out. I feel like that we're still gonna figuring out what's going on with these running backs.
Cam Newton, spoke on him, 155 yards, no passing touchdowns, but completed 15 of 19 throws.
100.7 passer rating.
But he also ran the ball 15 times for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns. So that's where he sits there and picks up those fantasy points.
Like we said, we watched this game, and Cam Newton looked like the Cam of old. And, I mean, as a Dolphins fan, I hate to say it, but as a football fan, I like to say it. I like to see guys that come back and play well,
work hard.
When they played at a high level and they kind of lose a step.
He could have been like Antonio Brown and thrown a fit.
Yeah, and
said, "I'm Cam Newton.
Yeah.
I've done this. I've been this." No, he said, "I'll take $1 million contract. I will work for my starting spot, and then I'm going to come out and I'm going to prove to you guys that I am exactly who I am. And by next year, I'll be probably one of the top 5, top 10 highest paid quarterbacks."
And really, I said it before, don't sleep on the defense. The Dolphins do have a very underrated defense, and Cam Newton just kind of shredded them apart.
Sony Michel, 10 carries, 37 yards and a touchdown. I think that's what we kind of expect when he is in the mix.
Yeah, we kind of expected, like we said, the running backs here to be in low running form, but in the passing game, that's where you get your running backs.
Edelman broke one off for 23 yards.
Yeah.
He does everything. Did he throw? Did he throw anything? Let's check. No, he did not throw anything today.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Well, him and N'Keal Harry both had 5 receptions. It looked like they were trying to mix N'Keal Harry in there a little bit more into the offense.
James White?
Yeah.
I think that was a bit of a surprise again for me. I really thought James White was going to be Cam's favorite running back, but 5 carries, 22.
Yeah, he also had 3 receptions for 30 yards. He had over 50 yards. He kind of in the same area with all the other running backs,
Edelman, 557. I think that's pretty good against the cornerback corp he was off against.
Yeah, none of them had a touchdown. If you add a touchdown to any of these guys' stat line, they're giving you a little bit extra more fantasy points. But Cam Newton seemed like he was going to be Superman today, and he's going to score all the touchdowns.
Devontae Parker, hamstring injury, went down. 4 for 47. How bad do you think it's going to be?
I don't want to say it's going to be bad at all, but it probably will be. They were kind of on a roll a couple different times, the offense was, but as soon as that Parker was out, it seems like they couldn't find anything on offense.
What do you think this does for Preston Williams' value and Mike Gesicki's value?
Mike Gesicki, I still think, is going to have high value at the tight end position, and I think that this brings Preston Williams way up. We're going to see how they go next week against the Bills.
They each, Mike Gesicki got 3 receptions for 30 yards, no touchdown. Preston Williams, 2 for 41, no touchdown.
The guy I would look out for in the situation if Parker isn't there is Jakeem Grant. If you're looking for a guy to stash and to see how he works on the offense, I would stash Jakeem Grant.
I'd say easily top 2 of upsets this week, Philadelphia and Washington football team. We've got Carson Wentz, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Pretty good for Carson Wentz, considering most of his wide receivers are injured, correct? He definitely made use of Goddard.
Goddard. Yeah, Goddard actually played very well. Deshaun Jackson, I thought, would be a lot more part of this offense, and he only had 2 receptions, so that kind of blows my mind.
I got a lot of Boston Scott questions, especially today, and I'm pretty sure I'd say a lot of people started Boston Scott and were not happy with how he produced.
Yeah, I mean, really, you didn't have a lot of other options.
Some people dropped key pieces to their team on their bench, for their backups.
Well, when they seen that Sanders was out and Boston Scott would start, he was projected in the beginning of the season actually very high in fantasy.
I just don't think
from where I thought that he would have been. Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Haskins didn't do much. 178 yards, 1 touchdown, no turnovers though.
He was a game manager. He went in there and he did what he's supposed to do. Antonio Gibson, 9 carries for 36 yards.
Underwhelmed. I think it surprised everyone that Peyton Barber had 17 carries, but he only produced 29 yards.
Yeah, that's
2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he was definitely in the red zone, but an average of 1.7.
That's not going to keep the starting job.
Yeah, it's not. So we're gonna see what happens there. Peyton Barber, if he's gonna get all those carries, you're gonna have to up them yards, man.
Haskins also carried the ball 7 times, 17 yards. Godert. I can never pronounce his name, man. I am horrible with his name. Goddard. Yeah, perfect. Anyways, Dallas Goddard, 8 receptions, 101 yards, and a touchdown. Ertz, 3, 18, and a touchdown. Do you think Goddard is starting to take Ertz's spot?
Kind of seemed like
At the end of the season last year, and then now.
Well, we talked how Ertz was kind of feeling not wanted there, right?
Well, we're kind of seeing why,
the other
right?
day, yeah, and well, it's because he's kind of getting pushed out by Goddard. He had 24 fantasy points today.
That's amazing. Jalen Reagor caught a really 55-yard pass. That was his only catch of the day. I believe he had 4 targets. Looked promising.
Well, the one catch was very. I don't know why they didn't target him more. To be honest with you, I don't see what happened in this game. It
I
seemed
don't
like in
understand
the
why
beginning,
McLaren wasn't targeted more. 5 receptions, 61 yards, no touchdown.
for the score of the game, and if you look at the score, you think that these guys would have been battling out, but
He did have Slade draped all over him.
It doesn't
all day,
feel like
though.
nothing really happened in this game.
No.
Not a lot of yards for anybody. I mean, you had one guy go over 100 yards. To me, that's a little crazy.
I think it says a lot to the Eagles on is their offense going to be able to produce against
8
teams.
sacks. They took 8 sacks once did. I mean, I'd like to see if Washington to pick that up and do that again next week.
Let's talk Raiders and Panthers. This was another surprise one. I'm pretty sure we went Raiders for the win, correct? Did we choose Raiders?
I don't know. I think you may choose Raiders, and I think I chose Panthers.
Okay, well, one of us was right. Derek Carr, 239 yards, 1 touchdown. Josh Jacobs, 25 carries, 93 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Josh Jacobs just, taking off on that sophomore season, and he's going to show everybody why he was a top draft pick and why he thought he should have been in the first round.
Teddy Bridgewater, 270 yards, a touchdown. Christian McCaffrey, 23 carries, 96 yards, 2 touchdowns.
They were kind of sprinkling Ruggs in there, getting him a couple carries, and I think that he might have gotten hurt on one of the carries, but he had 55 receptions or 55 yards. He came back in the game after he kind of had that stinger.
It's sad to say too is he was he produced the most, but he only had 3 receptions.
He was also only targeted 5 times.
Yeah, Darren Waller was only targeted 6, so 6 times 45 yards, no touchdown. Or I'm sorry, 8 times and caught 6 balls. And
he made the most of his targets, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think it seems like with Jacobs soaking up all that work, the receivers didn't have to do much.
Well, he also got a lot of reception yards. He had 46 receiving yards, Jacobs did. So, I mean, add to his rushing yards, and the guy tore it apart.
Robbie Anderson, 6 receptions, 115 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah,
I think that was a big surprise.
We had talked about it early in the week, Robbie Anderson coming out. I've seen Robbie Anderson a lot in the Jets. I know the talent that he has, and I know that Bridgewater was a guy that would find it from him.
It was a pretty good. He definitely showed that he should be above the depth chart when it comes to Curtis Samuel, and he is in Teddy Bridgewater's eyes.
Yeah, I definitely look forward to seeing more of both of those teams.
Let's talk Colts and Jags.
Oh, man. This was an exciting game to me.
Hurts my heart.
Just watching you up and down, pacing, getting all upset.
My biggest disappointment, Phillip Rivers. 363 yards, so he put it up. He had 43. He threw the ball 46 times, completed 36. So it looks great when you look at those two, but then he's got a touchdown and 2 interceptions.
And that's not because of his line, because he didn't get sacked. He was under duress a few times.
There were a few times he was under duress.
But honestly,
none of them were when he threw an interception.
He could have taken a sack instead of throwing an interception on both of his interceptions.
And that's what I feel like I noticed a lot is he doesn't look like he wants to be hit. He looks like he's scared to be hit now at his age. I think it is.
Well, a lot of the time this line was keeping. Like, they were doing their job. But it's just those couple of times that he felt uncomfortable, he was either launching it out of the way or he threw those 2 interceptions, and they were bad interceptions.
Gardner Minshew, 19 of 20 for 173 and 3 TDs, no turnovers. That is a great game.
And
I
I
understand
believe
it's
that
not a lot of yards, but that is a great game. 19 of 20, and you do 3 TDs, and you're pretty much just running the game out.
And I believe it was a dropped pass, too. I don't think that he overthrew. I believe it was a dropped pass. So he could have went
in
20
all reality,
and
he
20.
could have been 20 of 20 for three touchdowns. Would you take that as your fantasy starter?
Boom. Yeah, all day. And you know what?
He's on most waiver
He's
wires.
probably available in like 80% of waivers. That's crazy.
Neil Himes had a great game. Taylor had a great game. Max down with injury. Robinson came out and showed out 16 carries, 62 yards. So it was definitely one of those games that we saw going a whole different way. We had the Colts picked to win. Jags came out and showed that they're not tanking.
Yeah.
They're not giving away players for nothing. They have a plan.
We like to see that Mac gets healthy. It's a bummer that he went down. But hey, man, they have the rookie back there waiting.
That's fantasy football, baby. That's fantasy football. There's no heart.
Who do we got next? Do we have to talk about this game? We got the Cleveland
Can
Browns
we not talk? Let's just talk about
versus
the Ravens.
the Baltimore Ravens.
Lamar
Browns-
Jackson, 275 yards, 3 TDs. Great looking, 20 of 25. That is not surprising. It's Lamar Jackson. Ran the ball, 7 for 45. I think the running back situation is definitely a little murky with Mark Ingram, Dobbins, Edwards. But I believe they only went to their backups so much because they were in the lead the entire game, and they destroyed them.
Yeah, they really the Browns really stunk it up, honestly. I don't know if Baker was 19 for like
He
Or
was
it's 21 for
39.
39. Oh man.
He only had one interception.
But still, it's a passer rating of 65. That to me that's terrible.
If you're an OBJ owner, you're probably feeling after last season and today's game, like you better trade him as quick as you can. And I'm gonna agree with you.
10 targets.
Probably gonna be in part of our trade segment.
He had 10 targets for only 3 receptions. We didn't watch a whole lot of this game
22
because
yards.
Baltimore was kind of killing it throughout, so we didn't really tune in much. But
Mark Andrews getting his receptions like always, 558, 2 touchdowns. Marquise Brown, 5 receptions, 101 yards, looking like a wide receiver 1.
all that money
maybe
they
a
paid
high
Austin
upside
Hooper.
wide receiver 2.
Yeah, yeah, maybe.
he
Austin
stays
Hooper, all
healthy.
that money they paid him didn't really pay off, did it?
Nick Chubb and Hunt kind of split it. Chubb ran, Hunt was in on the passing plays, and he had 13 carries. He outcarried Chubb.
Yeah, they did a good 1-2 punch there.
Is that a little worrisome for Chubb owners that Hunt outcarried Chubb?
No, I
Or is
think
that
it was
because
the
of a
matchup.
fumble?
I think it was just the matchup,
Did
though.
Chubb fumble?
No, I don't believe so.
Wow.
I think it's just the matchup, man.
All right, well, there's not much to talk about there with, the Browns.
Lamar Jackson looked good. The Ravens looked good. Mark Andrews, remember him? He looks good too. Yeah, Mark
Yeah.
Andrews.
Mark Andrews looks good.
That's my tight end, right?
Yeah.
Oh
That
man.
you're trying to trade me, remember?
Hey,
Yeah.
hey.
Yeah, so let's not get into that.
You were trying to go Kyler Murray. I'm saying if you want to give up Kyler Murray for Mark Andrews, I'm all day for that.
Chargers and Bengals, let's talk that.
Joe Burrow.
Tyrod Taylor.
Oh,
Tyrod
man.
Taylor.
I was excited to see Tyrod. I thought he played
But
well.
16 of 30, 208, no touchdowns, no
He had
interceptions.
flashes where he looked good.
I think Joe Burrow looked better than he did, and
Joe
Joe
Burrow.
Burrow only had 193. Did you see that play that they called back at the end where they would have came back and won the game?
Yeah.
A.J. Green looked great. Weirdly, even against Casey Hayward and Chris Harris Jr. draped all over him and Boyd.
This game really
Green
should have went to
produced.
overtime, though.
Yes,
this game
it
should have
have.
went to overtime.
I
They
can't
missed that
believe-
field goal at the end.
Well, and I that was with where the kicker got hurt, correct?
Yeah, it looked like he pulled something. They didn't say
So,
anything. I didn't hear anything about
It's
it
a
yet.
sad thing that,
But he looked like he had got hurt and pulled something at the end of that game.
yeah, Hunter Henry, 5 receptions, 73 yards. That's a good sign, right, for Henry owners?
Yeah, Mike Williams played in this game too, and I didn't think Mike Williams was going to play. I thought that he was hurt,
Yeah.
and he
This was a
actually
surprise active for me.
he was getting a lot of targets. 9 targets, just one shy of what
had more
Keenan Allen
target-
had an 8.
No, he had more than Allen. He had
Yeah.
one more than Allen.
Yeah.
That's what surprised me. That Allen surprised me. 4 for 37, but we watched that game, and he was covered. He
Yeah,
was draped.
he was. And they were double teaming him a lot of the time.
I think that's why Williams had so many targets.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Burrows in the next game. He played very well, and I'm excited to see Eichler maybe step it up in the next game.
Let's talk Bucks and Saints.
Oh man, Tom Terrific wasn't so Tom Terrific in this game. We talked about it earlier. He threw two interceptions.
Breeze only had 160 yards, but 2 touchdowns to go with it.
Tom also had a rushing touchdown in this game.
What about Latavius Murray out carrying Alvin Kamara? 15 carries for Murray, 12 carries for Kamara.
Yeah, I think they used
And
Kamara.
outproduced yards-wise, too. 48 yards for Murray, 16 yards for Kamara.
It's because they were using Kamara in the passing game, so they were giving a lot of the handoffs to Murray. Kamara had 5 receptions for 51 yards. He also was targeted 8 times.
Ronald Jones, 17 carries, 66 yards. Fournette, 5 carries, 5 yards.
I honestly thought Fournette would get a little bit more carries in here, but not surprised that it was only 5.
Let's talk. Godwin got 6 receptions, 79 yards, so he looks good with Tom Brady. We didn't expect much out of Evans coming in hurt. O.J. Howard, 436 and 1, better than Gronkowski. Who do you think's the tight end to own? Do you think that was a sign that Gronk is lost a little bit to a step, and that O.J. Howard is actually going to be the tight end to own?
No, I think it's just how it played out this week. You know what I mean? O.J. Howard got the looks this week, and next week it might be Gronk. I think that this is just a risky situation for having either one of these tight ends.
Jared Cook, 5 receptions, 80 yards. Alvin Kamara, 5 receptions, 51, and a touchdown.
The most underwhelming person in this game was Michael Thomas.
3 for 17 yards.
I think that he might have
Him
been
and
out a
Sanders
little
were
bit,
right
though.
there. 3 for 15 for Sanders, but he at least got a touchdown.
It was an Alvin Kamara show, though. This game was.
It was, and they still won. So obviously they didn't need more, but it just was not what you were.
It was like him
expecting
and
to
Murray
see.
just picked up. They were the same as they were last year. They were a great combination.
Yeah, Kyler Murray, 26 of 40.
The Arizona Cardinals.
He threw the ball a lot. That's what I like to see. He threw the ball a lot. They threw to Hopkins a lot.
Yeah.
230 yards, touchdown, interception. I saw the interception. Tip pass was not his fault.
Yeah, Kyler Murray. The Arizona Cardinals win over the San Francisco 49ers, 24-20. San Francisco at home.
But who does this sound like? 13 carries, 91 yards, and a touchdown. That sounds like a running back, right?
That does. I was gonna say.
Well,
is that Kenny Drake's stat line?
Add those to Kyler Murray's stats, because that was his stat line rushing. That sounds like Lamar Jackson, right? Lamar Jackson didn't even have that many yards to go along with his rushing.
Yeah.
So Kyler Murray is
showed
starting
out.
to prove that he could possibly be the number 1 quarterback in fantasy. If things go the way they went this week all season, that is a dang good chance. Jimmy Garoppolo, 259 yards, 2 TDs, 19 of 33, kind of looking like the same Jimmy Garoppolo from the Super Bowl loss.
I feel like they're giving him a little more time to throw, but a lot of his completions were to Monster, I believe. So.
And he was a beast.
Yeah, a
Absolute
Monster
beast. He had a
absolutely tore it up.
Giant play, 76 yards, reception for a touchdown. That was an amazing play. They used McKinnon a little bit in the backfield. They used Coleman a little bit, but it was mainly the Monster show.
I feel like
The Monster.
Cardinals were kind of shutting them down in the rushing.
Can we
factor.
give him that nickname? The Monster.
The Monster
He's
Show.
a monster.
Let's see. I want to see him run a little more.
I don't know, man. He's.
He was 3 yards a carry, man.
Let's talk target. DeAndre Hopkins, 14 receptions, 151 yards. Is that not amazing? With him and Larry Fitzgerald on that same field, it was awesome.
Did we not know this was coming? Honestly, thought Christian Kirk would be more involved in the offense than what he was, and I didn't expect Larry to. I mean, I thought it was only 5 targets, and he made the most of what he got.
George Kittle got 4 for 44. Seemed to go down there for a little bit with his leg, but did come back later on in the game.
It wasn't a factor, though.
No, it was not a factor. Let's go to the last matchup of the night. It was the Cowboys and Rams. Kind of another upset because I believe most people had the Cowboys pegged to win.
Yeah, and it was kind of a slow start to this game.
Yeah, underwhelming. I thought it was going to be a lot velocity to the game, and it seemed to just be slow going the whole time.
Yeah, both Dak Prescott and Jared Goff seem to kind of be moving in slow motion. I don't know, maybe it's because this was the first game. They didn't really get on a roll. I know Dak had the one touchdown, but other than that, no offensive firepower from either one of these guys.
Ezekiel Elliott showed, he's still Ezekiel Elliott. 22 carries, 96 yards, and a touchdown. Malcolm Brown had 18 carries, 79 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I think that was a bit of a surprise because nobody knew who to start in that backfield with Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers, the rookie, who did have 14 carries but only produced 39 yards on it. So Malcolm Brown showed his case to try and keep the starting job for now.
Yeah, it looked like they sprinkled these guys in a little bit. I like the way that they used Malcolm Brown. I like how they brought Cam Akers in there to kind of 1-2 punch it. And it worked out pretty well. It freed up some of the things in the passing area, but not much. Robert Woods was the only guy to break 100.
I can say people that drafted Gallup and Kupp probably were not happy tonight. I am one of the Kupp owners, and I was not happy. 4 for 40. Michael Gallup, 3 for 50. CeeDee Lamb did produce more than Gallup, which we do believe that Lamb is going to advance Gallup on the depth chart anyways. Amari Cooper, 10 for 81. Robert Woods, the leading receiver of the game, 6 for 105.
Yeah, Kupp kind of made the most of what he got. He had 5 targets, and he caught 4 receptions out of the 5 targets. So he did what he was made available to him.
Well, that's going to do it. We have had a great time going over the Sunday night matchups and the first week of football. It was an awesome day. Awesome to see football again and just share some moments with the friends and family. And
yeah, we'd like to thank you guys for joining us and listening to the podcast. Also, don't forget to check us out at our Buzzsprout link at easybrosffpod.buzzsprout.com. Check us out on our Twitter and Instagram at easybrosffpod. Also, follow us on our Patreon at patreon.com/easybros. And when you become a Patreon, we're going to hook you up to exclusive questions and answers, exclusive merchandise, and exclusive podcast episodes for you on the Patreon.
Well, Easy Bros, you have to go and check out our next episode tomorrow, where we will be going over waiver wire pickups of the day, possible trades of the week, who to buy, who to sell,
the Monday night matchups,
and the Monday night matchups. Keep it easy.
Thanks for joining the Easy Bros of the Easy Bros Fantasy Football Podcast. Don't forget to join us for our next episode. Like, subscribe, and check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and also our website, EasyPod Bros at EasyBrosFantasyFootball.com.